Welcome into the Cowboys Report, presented today by True Classic Tees. I'm wearing one right now because I'm a big believer in the look good, feel good, play good, which is something the Cowboys need to do significantly. End the old year with a new you enclosed that'll give you confidence to take on those 2023 New Year's resolutions. 25% off when you use promo code CHAT over at trueclassictees.com/chat. We have a fairly loaded show for you guys today. We've got the latest on the Sam Williams, I'm going to call them legal issues, DeAndre Hopkins trade rumors and ideas a bit later in the show, some Cowboys injury news and coaching updates for both Mike McCarthy's future and for Kellen Moore. But we begin with Sam Williams. We made it about 11 days into the year before there was a Cowboy legal issue. Sam Williams is facing a misdemeanor for reckless driving over the accident he had last month. I'm sure you've seen the photos of the car getting totaled there. The original info that had kind of been sent out was they thought it was not Sam Williams' fault, or at least that's what Sam said. Then they got the information on how fast he was going, and they said, oh, okay, it's actually on you. Williams will reportedly turn himself in. There is an arrest warrant out, but again, this is a misdemeanor, not a felony. Very different things involved there. Here's what Frisco PD put out. A misdemeanor arrest warrant has been issued for Sam Williams for reckless driving. At this time, there is no plan to find and arrest him for the misdemeanor warrant. He's been contacted to turn himself in, and his bond will be set at his arraignment by the judge. So, again, in general, when the warrant's out and they're like, yeah, just turn yourself in when you have time, yeah, we're not talking about the same level of thing here. The potential discipline Williams is facing is a fine up to $200 or 30 days in jail or both of them. Now, my first thought was, seems like $200 and 30 days in jail are very different types of things and not really equal there. I'd bet my money on the fine for Sam Williams. Again, you know, insurance is involved. You got to figure out who's at fault. Seems like Sam's to blame here. I guess we'll let the legal process play out from that standpoint. I don't think this is nearly the clickbait of Sam Williams arrest warrant for violent crash. Yes, but also like not. Kind of misses the whole context there. So should Sam Williams play against the Bucs? Why for yes and for no? You guys can vote for me in the comments section. I myself think he will and should. I think this really comes down to the, hey, judge sits me down and goes, hey, you're going to pay the fine? Also, please drive safer next time. Given Williams' public comments about how he's felt after the accident, I think he's learned his lesson. Hope that's the case, and he matures moving forward. Coming up here in a little bit, we will take a look at a potential trade for DeAndre Hopkins. Lots of you asking about it, so yeah, we're going to discuss it here. But first, well, we're in a playoff push for the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones has said Mike McCarthy's job is not on the line against Tampa, but make no mistake, one and done would be a pretty massive playoff failure for this Cowboys team. ESPN's Dan Graziano has left the door open for a change if they blow it again. Says Cowboys team owner strongly backed McCarthy in public comments Tuesday morning, and Jones's recent with coaches and latest comments on the job status indicates we can take him at his word. But an ugly loss Monday night in Tampa could theoretically change his mind, and people who monitor these things would not be surprised. What do you think is the percent chance that Dallas ends up firing Mike McCarthy in the event that they lose? This is the pinned comment on today's video, so if an ad break happens to come here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and drop that percent chance at the pinned comment. I want to make this point clear. Mike McCarthy, after a disastrous first year, in part because of injuries everywhere, has done a really good job. If I told you, hey, I can't tell you how the playoffs go, but the Cowboys will go 12-5 in 2021 and 2022, or if I just told you they do that in back-to-back years, every single fan of every single NFL team would be like, yeah, I'm down. Even like the Chiefs would be like, you know what, we might be able to get 13, but I'll take 12. That's a good result. Mike McCarthy's done well this year, guys. He really has. I want to give him credit for that because what I'm about to say is also true. If they choke, I can see a change happen. I think there probably should be a change happening. Remind me of the one year where Jerry really wanted to fire Garrett after the disastrous playoff loss against the Rams, and he got talked off the ledge. Now, the simplest answer here is just win the damn football game. And then it's not an issue anymore of like, will they fire him? They won't. You should beat the Bucs. You should. Their offense is bad. They are not a great football team. Their defense is actually pretty good. Your defense should hold them to 20 points. They really should. Now, does that happen or not? I'm not so sure. There's a lack of trust, and I certainly understand that. So pick the score for me of the Cowboys against the Bucs. Let me know in the comments section what you think the final score of that game ends up being. Coming up next, before we get to Hopkins, we're going to look at the latest on Kellen Moore. He does have a head coaching interview lined up after all. Before that, though, we want to tell you guys about today's sponsor. That is True Classic Tees. End the old year with new clothes to give you some confidence. Almost all men's T-shirts are designed to look good on certain body types. Maybe it's the people who are in a little bit better shape than maybe I am, for example. But they're going to make you feel the best by accentuating the places the eye goes to. First, they taper off towards the bottom, but fit tighter around the chest and shoulders. It's a desirable look that can be achieved by every single body type. Dad bods, they got you covered. Rip bods, I mean, you're already fine to begin with. Your average Joe, they got you too. They also just released some new button-downs, chinos, perfect for a nice night out. They've got the classic comfort collection of ultra-soft tees, briefs, hoodies, the shorts, super comfortable, active wear. They can really fill up your closet and make you feel confident with whatever you choose to take out of it. Get 25% off with code CHAT at trueclassictees.com/chat. That is, by the way, $100. They'll give you free shipping as well. trueclassictees.com/chat, promo code chat. Link is in the comment section and the description of today's show. Let's spend some brief time here on Kellen Moore. Not too much. He does have a head coaching interview. Well, as requested, a head coaching interview the Panthers have for Kellen Moore for their open head coaching job. I'd be a bit surprised if Kellen got the job. I know some of you might like that. Also, I would be a little bit wary of always assuming the grass is greener, but he does need to be a little bit better. I don't think he's going to get a head coaching job. We'll see how the playoffs go for Kellen. Let's get now to DeAndre Hopkins. The report is that Hopkins wants out of Arizona, and the Cardinals reportedly plan on trying to trade him from my buddy Jordan Schultz. Hopkins is aging and likely wants a new deal. That is important to remember once we get to the trade value conversation. But he's still an awesome wide receiver. Hopkins would instantly be the second best receiver by a massive margin over Michael Gallup and Noah Brown. Noah Brown is a receiver 4-ish. That's what he is. He gets way too many targets because he and Michael Gallup are not getting open. Those two receivers rank near the bottom in the player tracking data of how open you are. That's bad. You're not getting open. You wonder why it seems like there are so many contested throws and tight window stuff that you're making the quarterback throw or the quarterback's choosing to throw? They are. Lamb and sometimes Taylor Hilton are the only ones who get consistent separation, and Hilton has not played that much this year. Adding a playmaker like Hopkins, I have interest in because even though he's old, even though he's expensive, he's good at football, and I'd like to add more good football players to my roster. Now, what I don't have a great feel for is how much he's going to cost in a trade. The wide receiver trade market doesn't make any sense. Amari Cooper goes for a 5th and a 6th round pick swap, right? Chase Claypool goes for a 2nd rounder, pick number 32 overall when it was all said and done. And Cooper's way better than Claypool, and the Texans have wanted a 2nd round pick and more for Brandon Cooks. And the receiver trade market, the valuation is really weird. It often comes down to how good of a front office you are. I don't think Arizona's a great front office. I think this would be the high end of what they'd be able to get for DeAndre Hopkins because of the age, because of the likely new contract, but also the fact he's a freaking awesome football player, right? Now, the suspension for PEDs this year might raise some red flags, but keep that in mind. 2nd and a 5th for DeAndre Hopkins. Maybe it's a 3rd. Maybe it's a little bit more. I don't have a great feel, but I don't think you'd have to move your 1st-round pick for Hopkins. I don't think you would have to do that. But who knows? We'll see how the trade conversations go. In theory, there should be a bit of a bidding war because remember, the free agency class is not good at wide receiver. So would you go try to trade for DeAndre Hopkins? More talk on this coming up here in a little bit, some pros and cons. But let me know. T for trade, P for pass in the comment section. Here are the last 4 years of what Nuke's been able to do. 9 games this year, 717 yards. Remember, He did not have Kyler Murray for all of those games because the Cardinals, well, in theory, franchise quarterback was hurt and did not end up playing that much. He also missed time in 2021 with injury. Again, the suspension this past year. He just turned 30 years old. If you just do the 17-game averages from 2021, 2022 combined, you're looking at over 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, 95 catches, which is a little bit of regression from what we saw in 2020 and 2019. I think you can blame some quarterback injuries for that as well overall, but he's still playing like DeAndre Hopkins. Now, the tricky part you do run into here is the money. DeAndre Hopkins is owed $21.7 million this upcoming season and $17.2 million after that. In all likelihood, he would want a new contract, and you would be balancing, okay, we're going to pay Diggs big money, we're going to pay Lamb money because he's your wide receiver one now. How much does Hopkins want? If he's going to demand the $25+ million price tag, I have a tough time seeing Dallas getting involved there because you're going to have to pay that to CeeDee Lamb, and you got at least one more year of Gallup making big money. Although if he doesn't get back on track, he'll be a cut candidate after this next season in 2024. He'd be a prime cut candidate there after the 2023 season. So depends on the money. That's a big factor for the Cowboys because that's how they operate, and I'm actually okay with it. I don't know if you want to be spending upwards of $50 million per year on two wide receivers, as good as they are. I would also like to get some speed at wide receiver. That would make things – I think you're missing the speed and separation. This might come as a surprise, but pretty much all quarterbacks are better when the receivers are open. That's just how things tend to go, right? And Dak certainly falls in that category. But he's also still DeAndre Hopkins. I would, if you could find a way to maybe move Gallup as part of the deal, maybe that helps you. The money's a little bit dicey there. I don't know how much value Gallup has coming off a career bad season, but he's still Nuke Hopkins. Yeah, I would have interest in getting him. We will be live, folks, for the Cowboys versus Buccaneers playoff matchup, the wild card round. Make sure you are subscribed. We'll be live earlier than ever before for the playoff watch party. We'll have some fun. Maybe I'll be a little bit tipsy before the game kicks off and I'll feel better. Hit that sub button for free right now. So mostly, not quite all the way, but mostly good injury news here for the Cowboys. Tyler Biadasz, Leighton Vander Esch, Jonathan Hankins, and Deron Bland were all at practice today. TBD on the full participation report, but for those four guys, key players you need out there, especially on defense and at center, it's massive good news on the injury front. But we can't always have nice things, and this is more of a disappointment for the player himself. Tyler Coyle was hurt at practice today, appeared to suffer a right knee injury at practice. Obviously, too early to know the details, but Todd Archer, Michael Gelkin showing that it was on coverage units. He got hurt. The Cowboys had activated Coyle last week from the practice squad to help out on special teams where they wanted him, and then they kind of played him at defense, and he wasn't very good at nickel corner because he's not a nickel corner. He's a safety, right? So you missed the injury. Hopefully it's not too bad because I like Coyle. He's a fast football player. He brings you special teams value. I hope he's okay. We'll have to wait and see on that front, though. I'm sure you'll find the news quickly on social media. And if you're on Twitter, by the way, hit me up with a follow at WhatGoingDowney.